To organize a complex drawing like this, you want to do so in stages, like I did with this video tutorial. Stage 1, Stage 2, and so on. With this colored pencil brand, the Caran Luminance 6901 colored pencil brand, you want to start with a very light hand, laying down colors only that you see, and work from dark to light. At these early stages of the drawing, you want to be mindful to capture likeness and color of whoever you are drawing. Here I'm being very conscious to get the shape of her eyes, her eyebrows, her nose, her mouth, and you want to source the correct colors in this process. It's really, really important. The way to do that is to stick with your light and dark tones. Think of the value scale of each individual color, like pink or a more neutral color. Every color has a light to dark value scale. And even on the small scale drawing, you want to make sure that you get those value scales accurate. I omitted the background because really it's the figure that is the focal point of this drawing, and it's what you really want to stress in this process of the drawing. As you can see, I started from the top and worked my way down. Now we're at the neck, chest, and arms. This is how you organize a complex drawing and really get a lot done in very little time. As you can see, I'm starting with the darkest color and working my way to the lightest, and this will help you create a lot of dimension when applying the flesh tones, and that's going to be the most important thing. In this particular photo, there were a lot of highlights and shadows on her. Harsh highlights and harsh shadows, but still I wanted to apply them softly and make sure the blending was also soft and smooth. Unlike the flesh tones, it's going to be much easier to color source the clothes. She's wearing in this photo a magenta tank top and blue jeans. So you want to get all of the colors out that have different shades, like different shades of this magenta, pink, red, different shades of blue. For this drawing though, with the pants, I just used a dark indigo and was very mindful of how hard I pressed the pencil and where I applied pressure. Feet are very hard to do. There's no getting around that. If you're not used to drawing feet, or if you've been doing art for a lot of years and feet still aren't a strong suit, don't worry, you're not alone in this. Many artists have issues drawing this body part. I don't know why, but they can be very difficult to draw if you're not used to drawing them often. Now, I took a lot of figure drawing classes in college and in my art school days, so I couldn't trace anything. I had to draw what I saw, and over time, my eye sharpened. Tracing for me actually really messes me up, but the reason for that is because in photos there can be some really dark spots and some super highlighted areas that make tracing very difficult. But if tracing works for you, by all means do it. It just trains your brain to really get things down accurately. There's nothing wrong with tracing. With the foreground and background, I definitely agonized over all of the forms and shapes and branches and colors that were around the figure. I had a lot of fun getting these intricate details with the branches, the shapes, the dark areas, the light areas, working with these earthy, crunchy colors. It was really a blast to do. But I found that having a system with laying the colors down and how you use your Exacto blade to get texture really makes a difference for how realistic the trees and branches will come out to be. As you might have noticed, I'm not so much agonizing about texture right now as I am about color and the value scales and getting these shapes and structures accurate. It's really important and critical for how realistic your drawing will look. Another thing that's going to help you organize your drawing, or a drawing like this, is just focus on getting the colors down. Don't worry about getting the texture right or the forms perfect just yet. Get the bare basics of the surrounding environment that the figure is in. Just get the general details down. Focus on the exact details later, and you'll find that it's a much better approach when doing an art piece like this. Don't be afraid to layer a lot of colors. With drawing natural elements like I'm doing here, tree trunks and tree branches and sand, layer a lot of light and dark colors, and that will give it a lot of dimension and a real pow factor. I know tree branches look pretty intimidating. They can be, but really just focus on having fun with them. They don't have to be perfect, just as long as you get the basic movement and look of, the texture and how the branches are twisting and how they're rotated and where the lights and shadows are. This takes a lot of exploration, but once you get it nailed down, it'll all just come naturally to you. The final stages is where you want to burnish, add a little more detail even after you burnish, and by doing that is you use your white colored pencil or a white pencil with a pink tone, depending on what you want to burnish with. It's really up to you. And then you can go in with your blade like I'm doing here, an Exacto-knife, and I'm getting that texture of her hair, just trying to really add more realism to her hair and her facial features. And a habit you want to make in this process of doing a drawing like this, when you're using your Exacto blade, you want to follow it with a white pencil. You want to burnish after you use your Exacto blade. This will take away any unwanted texture. You don't want to put texture on a body part or feet where it doesn't belong when there's a lot of texture in branches and trees next to the feet. Burnishing after etching is just a great way to smooth everything out. Lastly, I went back up to the face with my Exacto-knife and I incorporated those tiny specks of light in the eyes and just did a little more defining of the facial features.